in other than Allah. There is none greater.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. In the name of Allah, the most gracious, most merciful, I greet you, my dear viewers, in our Islamic way. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. May Allah's peace, mercy, and blessings be with you all. We were discussing the Quranic notions to plants in this long program on the scientific precision in the glorious Qur'an. And these notions do not come as pieces of scientific information per se. The Qur'an is not a book of botany, but any scientific notion that comes within the main guidance of the Qur'an to man is meant to testify to the scientific precision of this noble book. And this reflects on the many unseen facts revealed in the glorious Qur'an that they must also be absolutely correct. And we discussed a few of these verses in the previous episode, and we'll continue by some more in this episode. Here we read in Surah Al-Baqarah, chapter number 2, verse number 265 in this surah, a way of encouraging people to spend in the cause of Allah. And the verse reads, وَمَثَلُ الَّذِينَ يُنْفِقُونَ أَمْوَالَهُمْ ابْتِغَاءَ مَرْضَاتِ اللَّهِ وَتَثْبِيتًا مِنْ أَنفُسِهِمْ كَمَثَلِ جَنَّةٍ بِرَبْوَةٍ أصابها وابل فآتت أكلها ضعفين فإن لم يصبها وابل فطل والله بما تعملون بصير. And the likeness of those who spend their wealth seeking the pleasure of Allah and the assurance of themselves that Allah will reward them for their spending in His cause is the likeness of a garden on top of an elevated area. Heavy rain falls on it and doubles its yield of harvest, and if it receives no heavy rain, light moisture suffices it, and Allah sees well whatever you do. And one would wonder what's scientific in this verse. It is an indication that growing plants on elevated areas like plateaus, hills, mountains, not very high mountains, these places actually produce far better than growing plants in low-lying areas. In low-lying areas, flood can destroy the plantation completely. But in highly raised areas, the plantation can take what suffices it from water, and the excess water can drain downwardly along the slopes of this highly elevated area. And if no heavy rain comes, due to the elevation, humidity increases in the atmosphere, and that's why the plantation can live on whatever little water vapor in the atmosphere. And of course, these are scientific points that were not discovered by man until very recently, when people dealing with agriculture can tell us clearly that the best areas for fruit plantation, for example, are highly elevated areas. And the verse reads, and the likeness of those who spend their wealth seeking the pleasure of Allah and the assurance of themselves that Allah will reward them for their spending in His cause is the likeness of a garden on top of an elevated area. Heavy rain falls on it and doubles its yield of harvest. And if it receives no heavy rain, light moisture suffices it. And Allah sees well whatever you do. And this is a way of encouraging people to give out of their wealth in the cause of Allah, so that people really can live peacefully and in harmony with each other. The poor would not envy the rich, and the rich would not be unkind to the needy. And this is the essence of the verse. Also we read in Surah Qaf, this is the 50th chapter in the Quran, verses number 9 to 11. ونزلنا من السماء ماء مباركا فأنبتنا به جنات وحب الحصيد والنخل باسقات لها طلع نضيد رزقا للعباد وأحيينا به بلدة ميتة كذلك الخروج. And when we were discussing water, we said that the Quran emphasizes the fact that the purest water in nature is the rainwater. And science has proved that. Similarly, the Quran describes this water as a blessed water. It's a non-polluted water. It's highly beneficial to life in general. وَنَزَلْنَا مِنَ السَّمَاءِ مَاءً مُبَارَكًا. And Allah is showing that He is the one who sends down rain. No human being has got any role in that at all. And we mentioned before that the water cycle around the earth, or the hydrogeological cycle, is one of the living testimonies to the might, knowledge, and wisdom of the Creator. Without it, life would have been virtually impossible on the surface of our planet. And we send down from the sky blessed water, meaning rain. Then we, meaning Allah, all glory be to Him, produces therewith gardens and grain, every kind of harvest, and tall palm trees with closely arranged clusters as sustenance for mankind, for Allah's servants. And we give new life therewith to land that is dead, thus will be the resurrection. And I think we have mentioned before that the glorious Quran in numerous places brings the parallel between plantation from the dead soil once rain is dropped on it, and resurrection of the dead once Allah orders that to be. ونزلنا من السماء ماء مباركا فأنبتنا به جنات وحب الحصيد. And Allah is always giving the example of the soil being dead and dry, and it revives only after rain falls on it. And who drops the rain? Allah drops the rain. والنخل باسقات لها طلع نضيد. The verses also show the might of Allah, or glory be to Him, in giving these tall palm trees where water can travel from deep in the ground to its roots, and then it reaches up the highest level of the top of the palm tree, can reach up to 20 meters high or even more. And this through the specific physical property Allah has given water, which is known as capillarity, the power of water to ascend into narrow sections of tubes to reach very high elevations. And without this, no tall plant could ever have existed. And then it describes the very dense arrangement of the dates along the sheaths of the palm trees as also a sign of the rizqan lil ibad. Allah made all of this as a bounty from Him to His creation. وَأَحْيَيْنَا بِهِ بَلْدَةً مَيْتًا. And with this rain would make a dead soil come alive in exactly the same way Allah will resurrect the dead on the day of judgment. We also read in Surah Al-An'am, the 6th chapter in the glorious Quran, verse number 99, which reads, وَهُوَ الَّذِي أَنزَلَ مِنَ السَّمَاءِ مَاءً فَأَخْرَجْنَا بِهِ نَبَاتَ كُلِّ شَيْءٍ فأخرجنا منه خضرا نخرج منه حبا متراكبا ومن النخل من طلعها قنوان دانية وجنات من عناب والزيتون والرمان مشتبها وغير متشابه انظروا إلى ثمره إذا أثمر وينعه إن في ذلكم لآيات لقوم يؤمنون. And He, meaning Allah, all glory be to Him, is the one who sends down water, rain, from the sky. We then bring forth with it vegetation of all kinds, and out of it we produce green entities, tiny little green entities, with which we produce grain heaped up in stalks out of the dead palm, and its sheaths or spathes come forth clusters of dates hanging low and near. And then there are gardens of grapes and olives and pomegranates, each similar in kind, yet different in variety. When they begin to bear fruit, feast your eyes with the fruit and the ripeness thereof. Behold, in these things there are signs for people who believe. And we live in a world of atheism and skepticism and unbelief. And because of this, Allah is showing His presence, His might, His knowledge, His wisdom in His creation. And this is one of the reasons the Qur'an contains, besides its main message, many notions of the creation as a living testimony to the existence of a great creator with qualities above all his creation and might, knowledge, and wisdom beyond any limitation. And that's why the Quran repeatedly mentions the creation of the universe, the creation of plants, the creation of animals, the creation of human beings. وهو الذي أنزل من السماء ماء فأخرجنا به نبات كل شيء فأخرجنا منه خضرا نخرج منه حبا متراكبا. And I think we mentioned before in the previous episode that this particular verse is an emphasis on the role of the green plastid within the leaves of green plants. And it is these tiny little entities which Allah has given the capacity to store a part of the energy of the sun, and it can use the power of this energy to dissociate water to its original components, H2O, 2 hydrogen atoms and 1 oxygen atom. It releases the oxygen and retains the hydrogen. Similarly, it takes a fraction, a very tiny fraction of the carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, dissociates this carbon dioxide by means of the energy of the sun into its original components, CO2, 1 carbon atom, and 2 oxygen atoms. The oxygen is liberated to the atmosphere and the carbon is retained. And then with this tiny percentage of the solar energy, it binds the carbon atom with the hydrogen atoms into endless chains of carbohydrates. All the sugars we know of, all the vegetable fats, all these are generated within the green leaf of the green plant by a process known as photosynthesis. And this process came to the human knowledge only towards the end of the 18th century and was not finally formulated until the beginning of the 20th century. And for the Quran, a book revealed more than 14 centuries ago to an unlettered prophet, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, in an unlettered society, to mention this is a living testimony to every sane person that this Quran cannot be the word of man. It is the divine word and its divine purity. Especially we are living today in an era of atheism and disbelief. I think this science must bring any atheist, any agnostic, any skeptic back to faith if he or she can meditate clearly into the glorious Quran. And I think we are heading towards a short break. And until we meet after the break, I thank you for listening and greet you in our Islamic way. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Coming from this short break, I have to greet you again in our Islamic way. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Before the break, we were discussing the marvelous scientific notion in verse number 99 in chapter number 6 in the glorious Quran, which speaks about the process of photosynthesis and the role of that process in generating these clusters of grains and clusters of fruits that are produced like wheat, like barley, like many other types of grains that come in that pattern. Similarly, many types of fruit that produce clusters of the fruit itself, like grapes, like dates. It gives many examples, and it relates the production of these grains and fruits to these tiny little green entities called the chloroplastids, within the green leaf of the green plant. And of course talks about the production of dates in great clusters, the production of grapes, olives, and pomegranates. And it says مشتبها وغير متشابه, emphasizing the great power of Allah to produce from the same species of life many, many varieties. They look very close to each other in probably outside look, but in taste, in flavor, in smell, they are completely different. And this is again one of the living signs of the might of the Creator. انظروا إلى ثمره إذا أثمر وينعى. Look at the process of ripening of these fruits. It's really one of the wonders of creation. But people eat and look at these things without really much meditation, and that's why the shaitan can encourage them to drift towards atheism or skepticism or disbelief. We also read in the Quran, in Surah Taha, chapter number 20, verse number 6, له ما في السماوات وما في الأرض وما بينهما وما تحت الثرى. To him belongs all that is in the heavens and on the earth, and all that is between them, and all that is beneath the soil. First of all, we said that the notion, the heavens and the earth and what's between them, is an emphasis to the fact that the earth is at the center of the cosmos, the centers of the heavens, and it also indicates that the atmosphere of the earth is neither purely from the earth nor purely from the heavens. It's a mixture between the gases emanating from volcanic eruptions on the surface of our planet and the original cosmic smoke. And this mixture has been also prepared by great wisdom of Allah to suit life, which He created on the surface of our planet. وَمَا تَحْتَ الثَّرَى, and what's beneath the soil. And people may wonder what's beneath the soil. Only very recently, a very eminent scholar in the area of life beneath the soil came with this declaration. Scientists using new analytical techniques over the last decade or so have found that the world's ocean of soil is one of our largest reservoirs of biodiversity. It contains almost 1/3 of all living organisms. And if we know that living organisms come to the figure of more than 11 million species, and what's below the soil constitutes almost 1/3 of all living organisms. This means probably about 4 million species or so, according to the European Union's Joint Research Center. But only about 1% of its microorganisms have been identified. And the relationships among those myriad life forms is poorly understood. The focus is on the life that resides on the soil. The microbes, fungi, nematodes, mites, and even gophers that make up a complex web of interrelationships beneath the soil is beyond a calculation, beyond human imagination. A teaspoon of soil may have billions of microbes divided among 5,000 different types, thousands of species of fungi, protozoa, nematodes, mites, and a couple of termite species. How these and other species all fit together is still largely a mystery. There is a teeming organization below ground, a factory with soil animals and microbes, each with their own role, still to be discovered. The glorious Qur'an, a book revealed more than 14 centuries ago to an unlettered prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, in a community that is dominantly unlettered, to speak about life below the soil. And we came to know this only a decade ago, is a living testimony that the Quran cannot be the word of man. It is the divine word in its divine purity. We also read in the glorious Quran many of these scientific precedents that came to human knowledge only very recently. We read in Surah Al-Nahl, chapter number 16, verses 10 and 11, هو الذي أنزل من السماء ماء لكم منه شراب ومنه شجر فيه تسيمون ينبت لكم به الزرع والزيتون والنخيل والأعناب ومن كل الثمرات إن في ذلك لآية لقوم يتفكرون. He is the one who sends down water, meaning rain, from the sky. From it you drink, and out of it grows all the vegetation on which you send your cattle to pasture. With it he produces for you crops, the olives, the date palms, the grapes, and every kind of fruit. Verily in this is a sign for those who give thought, who can reflect. And we mentioned before that the glorious Qur'an in numerous occasions gives the example of growing plants from the soil immediately as rain falls on top of the soil is a living testimony to the fact that this world we are living in can never be the product of an accident or a chance or the product of chaos. It is a very well-planned cosmos, carefully created and carefully cared for and looked after, and without the mercy of Allah, life on the surface of this planet can never be possible. In Surah Fatir, chapter number 35, in the glorious Quran, verses number 27 and 28, we read, بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ألم تر أن الله أنزل من السماء ماء فأخرجنا به ثمرات مختلفا ألوانها ومن الجبال جدد بيض وحمر مختلف ألوانها وغرابيب سود ومن الناس والدواب والأنعام مختلف ألوانه كذلك إنما يخشى الله من عباده العلماء إن الله عزيز غفور. The address here is to humanity at large and to Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and to everybody who believes in his message. It says, see you not that Allah sends down water, rain from the sky, and this is a notion to the marvels Allah has placed in the process of hydrogeological cycle, of running the water around the earth in a perfect cycle as a means of purifying a great amount of this water, which if it remained on the surface of the planet without rotation, it would have gone rotten in no time. I think we came to the end of this episode, and I have to stop here, and we will continue in a coming episode, inshallah. And until we meet, I thank you for listening and greet you in our Islamic way. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. May Allah's peace, mercy, and blessings be with you all.